Hello, everybody. My name is Jim, and this is my reading wrap up for July 2023. This was my birthday month, and I wasn't sure how much reading I would get done, but all of the books that I read, I was able to read 4 books this month, luckily. They all wrapped up at the end of the month, so if anybody's following me on Goodreads, I'm sorry for littering your feed with a bunch of reviews all at once. It was overall a good reading month. 3 of the books that I read were very good, but there was one that dragged it down, and I'm going to try not to turn this into a whole rant review. But that book is The Inmate by Frida McFadden. Hey, so it's Future Jim. When I was talking about The Inmate by Frida McFadden, I kind of went into a rant. So if you enjoyed that book, you might want to skip over to Don't Let Go. But also, mild spoiler alert, again, if you want to skip it, go to Don't Let Go. That's all. First of all, I tried the audiobook with this, and I could not get very far in because of the narrator attempting male voices. They all sounded like this, really breathy. And they were just creepy. It just sounded creepy. They could be saying the most mundane things, and they all sounded like creeps. So I scratched that. I ended up reading the Kindle edition of this book, and the protagonist is so insufferably stupid. Brooke Sullivan is the worst protagonist that I know that I've read so far. The premise of this book is that she has moved back to her hometown into her parents' house, who have passed away, and she never really got along with them anyway. All because her son has been bullied for being the son of a single mother. She lands a job as a nurse practitioner at the local prison, which is currently housing her ex-boyfriend, aka the man she put behind bars after he attempted to kill her. Why she is returning to this hometown, which she's already dreading. She already dreads running into people that she knows. She complains about the job immediately. She doesn't want to be there because she knows who's there. You could have moved literally anywhere else. She complains about the house. It's like, why did you make these decisions if you were running back to trauma? There were times in this book where smaller things caused her to panic. Yet, when she goes to the prison and she ultimately sees Shane, her ex-boyfriend, the man who tried to kill her, it seemed like more of an inconvenience. Like, gosh, I was hoping for a month to go by before I saw him. There was no fear when she was around him. In fact, she was pretty infatuated with him, and she started to doubt herself. And when she started to doubt herself, there were no sirens, no alarm bells going off in her head when she decided to start dating the only other suspect that possibly could have attempted to kill her in that house. She is the one who presented these red flags in her internal dialogue, but she didn't follow them. She didn't pay attention to them, and she was just so dumb. I understand if Frida McFadden was trying to make an unreliable narrator. I understand if she was trying to make somebody who was unlikable. I'm okay with unlikable protagonists. I've read books with them before, and I've still given the books high praise, but I cannot stand a protagonist who is consistently as stupid as this one. And why? Because of men? Because they're hot? I am a man who has been with men, and I can doubly say with confidence, we are not worth the stress, okay? And the only reason why I finished this book in the first place was because it was a back and forth between present day and 10 years ago, 11 years ago, when the events took place. And I wanted to find out how Brooke came to the conclusions that she did all that time ago. I wanted to know what her thought process was, because in the present day, there seemed to not be any. Now, moving on to the books I did like this month, Don't Let Go by Harlan Coben is a thriller that I thought was actually good. The protagonist was not my favorite. I didn't really enjoy him very much. I'm not a fan of vigilante cops. But Don't Let Go is about the main character, Nat Dumas, who is suddenly roped into an investigation about a cop who has been murdered. This cop happened to go to the same high school as Knapp, and he also has connections with Knapp's dead twin brother. This murder of Knapp's brother and his brother's girlfriend happened many years ago. I'm really bad at remembering years, but it was during their high school career. It was like their senior year or something like that. And of course, this resurfaces all of these emotions and this desire to find out exactly what happened to his twin brother. So Knapp relentlessly investigates this. There's a question about whether or not he really should be this involved. It's not necessarily about his brother, because the murder is about someone else who just happened to be in connection with his brother. But there is some shaky ground there. And Knapp does some things that are very likely against the rules. Like I said, he is a vigilante cop, so he's not all that likable. He's kind of full of himself, but he does make some decisions that gets himself into trouble, and he is certainly not perfect or portrayed as perfect in any way, shape, or form. But the plot really drove this story. The pacing was very good. It was very fast-paced, and I kept wanting to turn the page after every chapter because it always ended in this sort of a cliffhanger. So reading this didn't seem like a chore. It was very dialogue heavy, but it didn't feel like a lecture. It was mostly because of the interrogations and the questions that he was asking the people that he ran across, just to see if they knew anything about what was going on. So it made sense for the type of book. There weren't a lot of descriptions in terms of their location, but there was enough to get kind of an idea, because this was such a modern story. You didn't really need that much description about the setting to get an idea of where you were. I think Harlan Coben did a really good job. There were some pretty major conveniences that occurred in this book kind of towards the middle. I still found myself turning the pages. I still found myself really enjoying this and wanting to make it to the conclusion so that I knew exactly what happened. He set up a list of possible suspects so well. I wanted to find out. It was a very enjoyable book. I gave this 4 stars just because there were some things that I didn't particularly care for. I didn't care for the main character too much, and I didn't really care for some of the conveniences that happened later on. But it was overall a very enjoyable book, and I'm happy to have wrapped up my Media Mirror Challenge with this book. The next book that I read is You Can't Be Serious by Cal Penn. I listened to the audiobook for this, and I feel like if I didn't listen to the audiobook, then I would have missed out on a great narrative performance by the author himself, Cal Penn. This was amazing. I love a good memoir, and this was a great one. It's on my favorites list now on Goodreads. It met my expectations as far as what the subject matter was, but he really went above and beyond. His tone is so humorous, and he was really able to present this the way he wanted this memoir to be presented. If you have the opportunity to listen to the audiobook for this one, I would absolutely recommend you do so, even though there are apparently some photographs and maybe some illustrations in the physical copy of this. I'm probably going to purchase this just so I have it on hand, because this is something that I would want to read again. But this follows Cal Penn from his adolescence to wanting to be an actor and telling his family and them not really supporting his decision to going into being an actor. By the way, if you don't know who Cal Penn is, he was in Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. He talks about the struggles of being an actor of color, going to auditions where some of these Hollywood liberals, air quotes, would much rather stick with the white guy than actually hire a person of color. But yeah, so after his acting gig, obviously he went to the White House. He talked about some of his missteps and his mistakes, particularly in the White House. Some of that I was worried was going to be a little bit boring or go over my head, because I'm not that much into the inner workings of politics, even though I do have a tendency to be a little bit political. But again, with the audiobook, it was done in a way that kept my interest, and I just enjoyed every minute of this memoir. So if you like a good memoir, like me, then I would absolutely recommend putting this one on your list and listening to the audiobook. It is definitely worth your time. And finally, Legends and Lattes, Angelia, I'm Calling on You by Travis Baldree. Another favorite for the year for sure. Right now, I'm not quite finished with it. I have, a few pages to go, but oh my gosh. I'm not even a huge fantasy fan, and I enjoyed this just because the characters were so cute. I've started kind of annotating my books. I've tabbed them. I've started tabbing them where I can. And most of the time, it's good tabs, informational tabs, and then bad tabs. Like, why did you put this here? But with Legends and Lattes, I only have 2 tabs for things that I liked and things that I loved. There was nothing bad about this book. I can see where some people might think it's boring because it is about a group of fantasy creatures opening up a coffee shop to a group of other fantasy creatures who don't know what coffee is. But it's so charming. It's so cute. And the characters that they introduce, I just love all of them. There's one. So I don't know how many of you play Animal Crossing, but Animal Crossing is one of those games where if they do something or if they say something, I get chills. Like I get the, oh my gosh, this game is so cute, I'm going to die chills. And this book gave me the, oh my gosh, this character is so cute, I'm going to die chills. There's one character, he shows up in the middle, and I immediately loved him. The dialogue in this is so well done. It's so realistic. It has those very lifelike inflections without including the filler language that we humans typically use. It was very relatable. I could feel every character and how they were feeling and expressing themselves in this novel, and that's something that I don't often get. Oh my gosh, what else can I say? It was just cute. It was very cute. If you don't mind something light and something cute, something clever, something different. I know again that this could be a book that replaces its characters with humans, but you would not get the charm that this book has if it were replaced by human characters. You just wouldn't. So if you want to give it a try, if you want to give a book a try that's a little out of your comfort zone, you're not a fantasy fan, but you need something lighthearted, something cute, something funny, something that warms your soul like a good cup of coffee, then this book would certainly fit the bill. So that's all that I read for this month. It was a good month minus, the one book. But if you're interested in any of these, if you want to look into these further, the Goodreads links are in the description below. Click on that. If you're further convinced, check out the retailer of your choice and purchase the books from there, or head on over to your library face-to-face or use your library app to borrow them if they are available. Otherwise, I have been Jim. You've been great. Happy reading.